Hello fellow Gaijins, welcome back to the Japanese Basics for... Wait, that's the wrong intro. Hello fellow Gaijins, welcome back to the channel. Today is Wednesday, this means today is upload day. I think you've read the title, but the title is 5 Things Travel Guides Never Tell You About Japan. What does that even mean? Well, it means what it says. It's basically everybody has once in their life bought a travel guide that is like a travel book or maybe a travel DVD or just something that helps you with your daily travels to a country or just a city. So for example, if you buy a Tokyo guide, it will just tell you about the most important like touristy places and just about things that you have to be careful about and stuff like that. But in today's video, I want to cover 5 things that travel guides like these usually don't really tell you about Japan. Without further ado, let's just start with number 1. Where do the Japanese live? Now, this sounds like an open question, but I mean this literally. Like, where in Japan do most Japanese people live? If one looks at Tokyo and its surrounding prefectures like Kanagawa and Chiba, for example, then one can see that 30% of the Japanese population lives in those areas. With around 330 people per square kilometer, Japan is a rather populated country, but 330 people is not out of the ordinary. There are countries with 500 people or even more per square kilometer. In contrast to this, Tokyo has around 5,750 people per square kilometer. Osaka, for example, is also really dense with like 4,600 people per square kilometer. Because of this, many people have the misconception that Japan is overcrowded and that you don't really have time for yourself wherever you are. Even though there are really populated places like these ones, 3/4 of Japan are actually barely populated. If, for example, you take Hokkaido or Akita, Iwate and prefectures like that, especially maybe in the northern Honshu side, the population density is really low. Like it's between 70 and 90 people per square kilometer. So if you want to have a quiet and peaceful, relaxing trip around Japan, avoid the big cities. Just go to not so popular or also not so known cities like for example in Akita or in Iwate or in places like these is a lot of beautiful nature that you can visit and also just other structures that are amazing. Like I've seen pictures, I've never been, I want to go, that's my goal for next year anyway, but in general I recommend you to go off the beaten path, as someone would say, and look at places that are not huge metropolitan cities. I don't even know if that's a word, but I think you know what I mean. Number 2 is Shibuya Crossing. I think anybody knows what Shibuya Crossing is, but what many people don't know are the statistics about this place. It really blew my mind when I heard it, but every time the lights turn green around Shibuya Crossing, 15,000 people cross from one side to the other. So every time it turns green, not just in one day, it's like literally in one go, they cross over. It's also in Guinness World Records book, and just in general it is the biggest crossing in the world, or just the most populated one. There's a live stream on YouTube where you can check out the Shibuya crossing at any time of the day, and I will leave it in the description below. Just keep in mind that there is usually some sort of time difference depending on where you live. So if you look at it, for example, here in Europe at 4 in the evening, you'll probably see it at night over there because 8 hours difference or something like that. Number 3 is Yuki Guney. Yuki Guney sounds kind of dorky, but it is a really nice word because it literally means what it means. This sounds really strange, but if you translate it literally, it actually really means what the word itself means. Some people don't know this, but the land with the most snow is in Japan. Now, why do I say the land? Well, if we look at the word again, Yuki Guney means the snow land. Yuki means snow and Guni comes from kuni with a rendaku. Rendaku is when you turn the K or the T or like the S into its rendaku form. So if it's a T, it turns into D. If it's a K, it turns into G, and so on. And people usually use this word when they're talking about prefectures that are on the west coast of the Honshu area, so the main island, but on the west coast. For example, Niigata, Toyama, prefectures where there's so much snow that you can actually not really go skiing. Like it's too much snow to be able to ski. I've read that you really can't measure how much snow it is. They can only approximate it because you can't really put the measuring thing into the snow because it just goes into the snow completely. Number 4 is, what about the Shinkansen is so amazing. Why do people hype it up so much? Like, people talk about the Shinkansen all the time. Why? First of all, there has never been a deadly Shinkansen accident. The Shinkansen has its own tracks throughout the whole country, so it never really has to wait on like other trains that are slower than the Shinkansen, so it's always on time, and because of that it's also on top in the ranking of the high-speed trains in the world. I didn't know this, but I think it's really amazing, and I've read this recently. A Shinkansen is always checked every 2 days for problems or damages it might have. And once a month, there is a huge checkup for any Shinkansen that is functional. And the checkup contains like 4 people that go around the Shinkansen and try out every screw to see if it is still holding and if it's safe to be in the Shinkansen or not. And those 4 people also don't really talk to each other, so it is really independent from each other. So there are 4 checkups at the same time, basically. And everyone looks at every screw. Shinkansens are always cleaned when they come to the final destination, because there is a 12-minute window where 5 of those 12 minutes are for people to get in and out, and 7 of them are for cleaning purposes. So there is cleaning personnel, and they have 7 minutes to change the sheets of the seats, to like take away everything from the ground, and just also clean the toilets, change the paper and everything that has to do or has to be done in the train. This just blows my mind. I mean, 7 minutes. The staff there is really trained to know every little movement they have to do, so that it's really timed for those 7 minutes they have to actually clean the whole train. Now, if you don't think Shinkansens are kind of special, I don't know what could impress you. Number 5 is Oshiya. Oshiya, again, like Yuki Guney, is just some Japanese word, but it is a really interesting concept. I think you've heard of it. It's usually kind of an interesting thing to watch if you're there as a tourist. But Oshiya is a job. There are around 40 million people, 40 million, that use the trains and underground trains like in Tokyo every day. So it's literally almost impossible to have enough trains running at rush hour. That's why there is this job called Oshiya, where the people that exercise this job literally push people into the train so that the train can close its doors and go on its way, so that it doesn't run late to the next station. It also helps for people to just be pushed inside so that they actually like make space, because if they're not pushed, some people can't get home until like 6 because they have to stand there for like 3 trains, and yeah, it just helps with the situation. There are too many people there. It's a really bizarre sight, but I would definitely recommend you to check that out if you are in Tokyo. Usually you can see this at any station which is on the Yamanote line. Now, those were 5 things that I think are usually not really described by like travel guide books or travel guides in general. And I hope they were insightful for you. If you like this video, consider leaving a like. It would really help out the channel. Also subscribe if you haven't, because I upload once a week, at least once a week, on every Wednesday. This is our new schedule here, so maybe check that Wednesday into your calendar and, you know, right there. Gaijin Quest upload schedule Wednesday. So I hope I'll see you in the next one. Mata ne.